Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode in the series Conversations with Shelley. For those of you who are joining me for the first time, welcome. I'm Shelley. And for those of you who, you've been here for quite some time now, welcome back. Thank you as always for sticking and staying. Really do appreciate the time that you have carved out to be with me on this week's episode. So, I want to start off with something a little bit centered and a little bit deliberate, only because we have commenced a new year. And one of the things about starting a new year is wanting to understand and get into that frame of mind where you are deliberate in your actions, and through your deliberate, you know, coordinations or strategies, whatever you want to label it as, you understand that there has to be a foundation laid in order for you to be able to achieve these strategies successfully. So, in this week's episode, what I wanted to look at was this idea of resetting your spirit for the new year, for 2026. And I got this idea for this topic after I read a book, Spiritual Hygiene. And this book, the author of this book is Iyanla Vanzant. And I know she's not unfamiliar to us worldwide, because no matter where you are located or where you're watching this from, um, I think we're pretty much aware of who she is as not only a television host, but also a spiritual healer and also somebody who has guided us in many of our episodes of fixing our lives, right? So, as we step into 2026, one of the things that a lot of persons attempt to do, and very often um, not necessarily successful at it, is that we talk about goals, we talk about vision boards, we talk about leveling up, and all of this is done um, with the hope and intention of, reaching that purpose or those purposes intended for our lives as the new year dawns. But I want to ask a different question. I want to ask a different question this time around. And the question that I want to ask, and this is coming, of course, out of having read her book, and I encourage as many of us who can to get a copy. It's available on Amazon. It's a very lovely read. Um, and one of the things for me that I've always tried to do is I always try to read 12 books for the year, one per month. And I managed to complete this book in a couple of days. And that is just how exciting the information was for me. And of course, I decided to make this a topic for us to discuss. So the question that I wanted to ask is a different question. I don't want to ask a standard and typical question as to what are your goals? What are your visions for 2026? What is it that you want to level up in? I really want us to ask ourselves a question, or rather, I want to ask you a question. And this is a question that Iyanla asks throughout her book. And the question is your spirit clean enough to receive the things that you're asking for on your vision board, the goals that you want, the leveling up that you want to achieve? Is your spirit clean enough to receive these things? So, as I mentioned, the episode is, of course, inspired by spiritual hygiene. And the conversation that I want to have, the provocative conversations, is about resetting from the inside out. Not doing more, but clearing more. Yeah? And you may ask yourself, what exactly does spiritual hygiene mean? What does it mean? And all of this dialogue and discussion that I want to have with you, I have been able to um, see or obtain that guidance from the book itself. So, in the book, she described spiritual hygiene in pretty much the same way we think about our physical hygiene. You know, it should be a daily routine. something that we do as a daily maintenance, because you don't wait until your body starts to get sick to take care of it, or hopefully you don't do that, right? And you don't wait until your life is falling apart for you to check also those emotional and spiritual health or healing things that need to take place, in much the same way that you don't wait 3 days to brush your teeth or 4 days to wash your hair. And the essence of the book is to center you and to allow you to understand that the foundation has to be laid for you to receive the things that you want to receive, to level up. Yeah. And in so doing, you have to start, as I said, from the inside out, and you have to start from what is spiritual. So, some of the key discussion points that I took from the book itself was that emotionally, you have to be able to understand that you carry these things year to year. And if you keep carrying emotional, especially those things that are emotionally draining, if you carry these things year on year, you may not necessarily be able to walk into a new year as clean as you want to, in order to achieve the things that you must, right? So you sometimes you have to process hurt or unprocessed hurt in some instances. You have to deal with resentment. You have to deal with betrayal, even self-betrayal, so as to not to repeat that cycle. Yeah? And you can make it into something that is a daily ritual, as your physical hygiene is. So, one of the things that is important about understanding the principles or the guidance that she offers in the book is that don't take old energy into a new year. So you have to go through that process of cleansing yourself spiritually before you start to think of, oh, I want to achieve this for the new year. I want to do this for the new year. If you're going into the new year with these dirty spirits, and I don't mean demonic forces, no, I'm just talking about the things that are keeping you down, that are weighing you down, whether it be the resentment that you're carrying, the emotional baggage of betrayal, self or otherwise. If you don't cleanse yourself of these things, then the new year will mean absolutely nothing, because you're just hauling a baggage along with you, yeah, that you have taken from your past, right? So the guidance that came from the text was that you're entering a new year, hopefully clutter free. And in so doing, you expect and you will get something new. Something new will happen. But if you carry those emotional things, those emotional clutter from 2025, 2024, or even from 1981, if you're still holding on to those things, then you can't expect nothing new. You have to expect the same result, right? So the essence of it is, if you don't clean yourself, or if you don't clean up that process, you're just recreating it, right? You're recreating the pain that you have normalized last year or the year before, as I said, or even from 1981. You're now excusing behaviors that you know very well. You're excusing behaviors that you're very familiar with, because you have not cleansed yourself spiritually to let go of those behaviors. You don't understand the impact that that has when you're trying to achieve something new. In understanding her text as well, it is important, as one of the principles that I took away from it, that boundaries are necessary as part of your spiritual hygiene process. And as I would have done other episodes on boundaries, they're never to be seen as walls. They're filters. They're filters to allow you to be able to easily navigate murkiness, craziness, things that you just can't understand otherwise. save and accept if you apply those filters. So they're never to be seen as boundaries or barriers. They're just supposed to be seen as filters to allow you to navigate your world, your space in a more effective manner. Spiritual healing is necessary before you can leap into something new. And it's a spiritual cleansiness, it's a spiritual hygienic moment when you understand that you have to be honest, you have to be truthful, because otherwise, the things that you are not being truthful about or honest about, or the things that you're not tackling before you start that new thing, they're going to drain your peace and they're going to feed into you and they're going to slowly eat and take you apart. Yeah. So you have to now understand emotional access and determine that in such a way that you can easily walk through different experiences in this new year without feeling like you're entitled. Because unless you address those things, you're going to step into spaces feeling like it's yours because you haven't dealt with the other things that you needed to have addressed. So, how do you go about achieving this spiritual hygiene that she speaks about? You know, to embrace the new year, to embrace your new challenges, to embrace the new struggles that are going to come. And it is no different from what you do when you talk about physical hygiene. It's a matter of engaging in daily practices. Daily practices that are now designed to keep your spirit clean and fresh. So you don't have to look at it as anything complicated. We're not telling you to go and read the 66 books of the Bible, although that is very important, but that's not where it is going. That's not where the text is going, right? It is a spiritual hygienic moment that is very simple. But what is important and what should resonate with you is that it has consistency. It's not ceremonial, as I said. It's not about going and reading Genesis to Revelation. It is supposed to be something that is consistent, something that is simple, as you would get up and brush your teeth or comb your hair or wash your face, floss, those things. It is as that simple, nothing complicated, right? So if I were to um give you an example of what a spiritual hygiene moment would be, it would be just about having daily check-ins, for example, with yourself. As you wake up in the morning, check in with yourself. How am I feeling? How am I feeling, particularly in this moment, in this time and space continuum? Address those things before you step out into the world, and you'll step out into the world a better person. Have I addressed all the resentment, all the regret? Have I been able to pack them away, having now unpacked them, and being able to now say, okay, I have unpacked this, I have dealt with it, I can lock it, I can close it, and I can now embrace other chapters, other things. I can now get emotional access to other things without feeling that sense of entitlement as I go along. So when you wake up in the morning, have a check with yourself. Say, self, how am I feeling today? How am I feeling at this very hour? How am I feeling at 8 o'clock in the morning? Am I feeling like I'm going to bite somebody's head off? And if that is how I'm feeling, let me address that right now. Let me pray about it. Let me ask for some divine intervention. Let me see if I can deal with this first thing with the person so that I can clear it off my list and move right along. Now, you will have challenges. I'm not going to say that you won't, because there's some persons that you just won't be able to tap them on the first go. But what is important about spiritual hygiene is that it's a consistent thing. It's not ceremonial. You're not standing on any ceremonies. It's consistency. So you may not be able to have the conversation today in this time and space continuum, as I said, but because you're consistently looking to address it You know, you can step into that new space feeling like I one day, a hour is going to come when I'm going to resolve this with this particular person. Yeah. So if you ask yourself, what is it that I feel? Am I feeling fine? You can also ask yourself as part of your spiritual hygienic moment, what do I need? What am I ignoring? What am I regretting? What am I having difficulties addressing? So that when you're entering 2026 or any new year for that matter, you're entering it with an alignment. You have no pressures. Yeah? And you can tell yourself that this year isn't asking you to become someone new. It is asking you to be honest, to be truthful, to be aligned, and to be clean on the inside. Yeah? That's all the spiritual clean moments are about. So you have to set that foundation, address yourself inside first, and deal with that spiritual hygiene that is necessary so that you can conquer peace over performing, so that you can conquer presence over perfection. You just need to turn up. It doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to look pretty, it doesn't have to have a bow wrapped up in it. You just need to turn up. So before you can claim 2026 and before you can do your vision board of all the great things that you want to achieve, Mark, I did my vision board. I did it. Yes, I did. I may put it somewhere here. But before I did my 2026 vision board, I read the book. I took my Christmas holidays and I read the book. I said to myself, this is an important guidance, an important lesson that I need to have as a tool in my toolbox to assist me in addressing the things that I want for 2026. And these things, they will come because I'm applying that daily maintenance that a physical hygiene moment requires. I am getting up deliberately with all intentions to address the things that I need to take me to the next level. Yeah. So before I can claim any of these things, and before you can claim any of these things for the new year and for 2026, start with cleaning your spirit first. Release what no longer belongs to you. Choose truth over comfort. And remember, healing is a daily routine. It's not a one time event. It is not something that you do, set it and forget it. It's not that kind of a thing. It is something that must always be consistently addressed and approached. So think about the things that you are not going to carry into 2026 before you even start to envision what 2026 looks like. Because if you fail to do that, then you're repeating it another year, expecting a different results or different result rather. So as we embark on this new journey, this new year, all the things that we hope to achieve, I encourage you to read Iyanla Vanzant book. It teaches so much. It teaches you to care about your inner life with some amount of intentionality as you would when you're addressing your physical self, your physical manifestation. And it offers some amount of framework for cleansing emotional, mental, and spiritual clutter so that you can align yourself with more clarity and you can align yourself with a more empowered position. Yeah. And then always remembering that it is a daily thing and it should become a habit so that you're preserving that inner peace and you're getting that energetic freedom, just like anything else, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, keeping your body healthy. So you're keeping your mind, your heart, and your spirit. So, as always, I can't stress it enough. Recognizing and silencing trauma responses that were from your past. Learning to recognize them and directing them in such a way that they don't impact or affect your current reactions. And then you will see by these daily manifestations, you're gradually reducing its influence on what is conscious, what you're consciously aware of within your inner circle. I will also leave with you as part of this new year, reconnect with your purpose. That is something that I've learned and learned it not late in life, but I learned it and I wish I learned it much sooner. Reconnect with your purpose, yeah? Have intentional practices so that you can know what it is that you were put here on God's earth to do. It's something that is very important before you pass to the next world, that you are always aware of why am I here? It's a it's a tough question. Sometimes you don't know the answer. Sometimes some persons never even ask themselves the question. But I encourage you to ask yourself the question, why am I here? We didn't just come here by chance. Yeah? There is something for us to learn along our journey. And that is one of the things that spiritual hygiene helps you to do. I know my purpose, and this is part of my purpose. So I encourage you to find yours as well. Another thing that I wanted to say about setting the foundation and going through that spiritual hygienic moment is embracing grief and loss. Embracing it from the point of view that they are your teachers. So rather than avoiding the hard emotional things, you know, see your grief, see your sorrows, see your losses as opportunities for deeper wisdom, for deeper purpose, for deeper growth. Trust me, for everything that is bad, for everything that is bad that has happened to you, if you sit into the silence of it all, you can find the purpose, the intent, and you can grow from it. You can learn from it. I listened to her, Iyanla, talk about even something as painful as a breakup, a lost marriage, a divorce. Sometimes we can't see what it is to learn from losing somebody that you love and love dearly, whether it be within this realm or within the next, whether you've lost them to somebody else within this world or you've lost them to the Creator, whichever it is. But when that grief and that sorrow hits you, you can't just go through that and not learn nothing. And trust me, most times we learn something, but we just can't put our fingers on it to say, I learned this lesson. But if you're willing to sit into the silence of it and you're willing to go through that spiritual hygienic moment, you'll realize that there's so much that you learned or could have learned from that experience. And as I said, she mentioned something as simple as a breaking up with somebody. Are you going to go through each breakup the same way? Aren't you going to go through the first, the second, and the third and say, I learned this, I learned this, I learned this, I learned that. So that by the time you enter your fifth one, hopefully you don't go through so many. But by the time you get to the fifth one, you would have said, okay, I know how to deal with this heartbreak. I know how to deal with this. I can pick myself up and go to work the next morning. I can function at work the next morning because the previous two heartbreaks taught me this. And that is what is a part of the spiritual hygiene moment. Yeah? So don't think of anything now that you're doing or anything now that needs to be done as a one-time fix. This path that I'm asking you to go on before you take on anything new, it will teach you to do things daily. allowing you to clear the mental fog so that you can get clarity, and preserving your energy for those big monumental moments. It will allow you to prevent being burnt out spiritually and physically. And it will always amplify clarity and purpose for you and protect you from reabsorbing what you've already released. Yeah? So I encourage you once again, grab the book, have a read. One of my visions for 2026 is I need to increase my reading of books. I normally have a book per month. I want to increase that to 2 books per month. But I can't do that without understanding what could be the hurdles that could prevent me from doing that and addressing those. Yeah? So before I even start to think about the possibility of increasing the amount of knowledge that I can gain from reading and engaging in non-academic things, I must first understand, do I have the space? Do I have the time? Do I have the resource to even start this process? And that was part of the daily maintenance that I must put ahead of this vision, of this goal of mine. So, thank you for spending the last half an hour with me. Hopefully, I dropped something into your spirit and into your souls that will allow you to think about what it is that you need to do before you embark on a new journey. And I always ask you to consider liking, sharing, subscribing, and turning on your notification bells. And guys, if you reach this far, as I'm now coming to understand, if you reach this far, might as well you like the video. Like it, man, and get it to come up in the, what they call it, the algorithm, so that you can benefit from, my little rambles sometimes and my little serious conversations sometimes. And as always, I wish for nothing else but peace, prosperity, good health, fantastic opportunities for 2026. Until I see you next, have yourself a fantastic year. Do the work. See you on the other side.